Okay. All right. Back in the fur shed. This is still trapping today. I think it's been a long time since I've sat down and recorded anything. So today I am both on doing the podcast and doing YouTube live. So we'll see if anybody shows up here in the chat on the YouTube and see where this goes. But I just wanted to give folks an update uh, on me. Oh, looks like I got a black eye. I forget I didn't wash that part. I've been working on machinery most of the day today, but just an update on where I'm at and what I've been doing and how life has been and why you haven't heard from me in so long. Hey Eric, glad to see you too. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but 70 Land Cruiser, what's up, Mike? How you been? It's been a while. I'm trying to scoot up my chair here, but I've got a big pile of lumber underneath me. Got a bunch of building materials and stuff in the fur shed. I just made the first fire uh, in the wood stove for the first time since, geez, since last spring, and so all the flies are coming out and buzzing all over the place. So we're gonna see that. Um, yeah, 70. Hey Naomi, what's up? Boy, everybody just pops in for the live stream. All kinds of people on the chat. Awesome. Hit the thumbs up. Maybe a few more people will find this. I guess that's what they say to say. Hey, GK Hunter Trapper. Hello from the north. Hey, what's up, GK? Um, how far north are you? I'm in Maine. I don't know. You must be further north uh, of me. Brandon, hello, Brandon. Trapping Spots. What's up, Trapping Spots? Hey, Seldom Fails. Seldom, how's it going? Good to see you on here. Boy, it's amazing. You go away for quite a while and everybody's still everybody pops right in. That's pretty awesome. So anyway, yeah, I haven't done any as those of you who listen to the podcast regularly realize that I have not been recording anything, and I've been kind of preoccupied with a lot of other stuff, and so I went from a weekly podcast for a long time, doing this for like 5 years. Decided to slow things down and went monthly. And then this summer, I decided to just take a bunch of time off from it because for a number of reasons. I mean, one, it's just been it, you can only do so many things, right? And for me, I've been taking on a lot of other things, and one of the biggest things that I've done is the farming. And so we have beef cattle, and we've been increasing the size of our herd every year. And we get to the point this year is the largest that it's ever been. And it just kind of got overwhelming. And it was a lot of work and a lot of time. And it was good. But it's just, that had to take priority because that actually is something that brings money in and puts food on the table. And unfortunately, the trapping, the podcasting, and the YouTube stuff doesn't really do that, which I'll probably get into in a little bit as well. D Rich. Hey, what's up, D Rich? Good to see you. If you guys have any thoughts or questions or whatever, feel free to shout them out. But yeah, so I'm not no sponsors because I stopped doing the sponsors for the most part because hey, Beaver Trapper 89, what's up? Because I didn't want to be obligated to just sit down and have to record something regularly to satisfy the sponsors. And so I haven't been doing that, but I do have Trapping Today store. And it actually has been pretty surprising to me the number of people that are still ordering stuff. You can tell it's starting to get cold and people are thinking trapping because all of a sudden the lure orders are coming in. And I've not done a podcast, I've not done a YouTube video, haven't even mentioned anything. And all of a sudden we get emails popping up for orders and we're filling lure orders. So that's been really good. And I wanted to mention some things about the store because we got a bunch of stuff here. We're going to be clearing out some stock. Um, but lures for sure. I mean, a lot of the stuff like the shirts and the mugs and the hats and all that stuff, it's not really, it's more, almost more hassle than it's worth unless you sell thousands of them. And so, unless I get like some cool idea that I want to do a unique shirt or whatever, I'm probably not going to do those for a while. And so, those are going to be discontinued, but we still have a bunch in stock of certain sizes. So we have the Mustelid t-shirt, which is the same as that poster that you see behind me, with all of the Mustelids of North America, and that is available. We have just a few left, and we have them down to $15. That includes shipping, so pretty cheap. Uh, there's two extra small in the color tan. There's two extra small in the color sand dune. So the XSs don't sell a lot, but they're good for kids. There are five left in size small sand dune color. There's no medium or large left. There are two XXL sand dune and one 3XL sand dune. And so check those out if you want to get a shirt. And then we have the logo shirts, the Trapping Today logo on them, like that. And there's two smalls, three larges, four XLs, and one triple X. So if you want to check those out, it's a good time to get them. The ball caps, we've got three of them left, and they're $30 a piece. And if nobody buys them, then I'm gonna just keep them. The books, we have lowered the price on the books. I can't remember what we did. We did I think they were $25 for the two, the Walter Arnold book and the Alaska Trapping book. Those are $20 a piece, free shipping, and the Fall Fur Hunt in Maine book is $10. Posters are $15. I think they've always been that way. We got to go 15 on the posters because uh, the half of the posters we ship get damaged in the mail, and we end up shipping you another one. So we kind of got to account for that. There's a 3-book special for $40. The mugs, we dropped those down to $15. And that's all for the special stuff. That's just stuff we're trying to kind of move a little bit more of. The lure is moving fast. Long distance call, the beaver lure, and the predator lures are really moving fast. And actually, we're probably going to have to bump the price up on some of that. I'm just kind of looking. I just ordered some more lure making ingredients, and of course, like everything else, the prices of shipping is up. The price of packaging and jars is up. The price uh, jars aren't up too bad, but the price of the other ingredients have been up, and to ship them in, and then to ship the lure out to you. And so I'm probably going to have to bump that up some just to maintain a okay profit margin to make it worth my time. But uh, if you order pretty soon, you're going to be able to get them at the prices that they've always been. So that's like for a 4-ounce jar of lure, I tip most of them they're either $30 or 25, and that includes shipping. 70 coming through the area on Thursday. Okay, Thursday. I'm gonna be in the woods on Thursday. Um, but I probably will be around at the end of the day. So just let me know. Yes, I do still have the same number. And yeah, give me a call. And if I'm in cell service, I'll get in touch with you. Okay, so that's the lures in the store. All that's good. Um, Back through on Saturday. I should be available Saturday, I think. Um, I'll be bouncing around here on the farm. Yeah, so what is going on with the podcast and with the YouTube channel? I guess that's what I should probably discuss because I haven't in a while. Um, so for me, it's probably hard for a lot of people to believe this, but I don't really like being in front of the camera. It's not really something it's not in my style or personality. I don't like to be center of attention. Um, and I am not really when I go in public and talk to guys, especially like trapping in Maine. Anytime I run into a trapper here in Maine, they watch the videos, and I'm really grateful for that, and I think that's awesome, and I appreciate it. But it's also like I just hate. I don't like being that guy. I don't like the attention. And so I've joked with people that, it I could put up with it if it was, if the fame was kind of enough to make a full-time living doing it, and I could deal with that. But for a few $1,000s, is it really worth being, kind of in front of the camera and having everybody know who you are and what you do? And I'm not really sure that it is at this point, especially with got the farming stuff. My kids are getting to the age where they come along with me trapping. We've been doing a lot of fishing this summer, so that's where a lot of, instead of doing podcasts or videos, a lot of fishing with the kids, and we're having a lot of fun with that. And so I don't know if it's a lot of work. Bring along the camera, do the editing, put up the videos, and go through all of that, and just deal with everything that comes from that. And so I'm honestly, I've been saying this all summer. I'm about 50-50 whether I'll actually record this fall. And I will be trapping. I will be trapping marten and fisher and weasels this fall. I'm actually really looking forward to it, and I'm going to be spending a lot more time trapping than I did last year, and I've got some pretty big plans. Uh, I don't know, however, whether I'm actually going to turn the camera on and take you guys along with me. And I know that sounds a little bit selfish, but it is what it is. So I'm just kind of up in the air on that right now. I don't know. I could go either way. I've thought about different ways of doing it, but really, when it all comes down to it, there's a bunch of us that do this stuff on YouTube, small time, and um, it really there aren't a lot of people that break out to like 100,000 subscribers like Trapper J. And so a lot of it is just you're putting in a similar amount of work, maybe not the same amount of effort, but a similar amount of effort. It's enjoyable. There's a lot of people watching. Everything's great, but uh, how long is everybody going to run on that treadmill? And you can do it if you're motivated because it's just something that you love to do. And that has been that way for me for a long time, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't get as excited about recording trapping videos and doing all that stuff. Um, and so if the economic incentive isn't there to put food on the table, and the enjoyment and excitement and fulfillment of actually sharing it with people on YouTube is not there, then probably don't need to be recording videos. Just go out there, trap, have a good time. Um, I I I probably will. I'll probably do some podcasting. Uh, I see there's a question there. I'll get to in a minute. Um, what I may do is record podcasts like when I'm in the truck driving to and from checking traps. That's pretty simple, and there's a lot of stuff that'd be kind of cool just to talk about the trap line. Um, so I may still do that. May have a couple people that want to get on the podcast and just talk trapping. If we have time to do that, I may do some of that as well. So opportunistically, maybe there's going to be some things there. I'll probably do some writing. I've been thinking about some additional writing projects, but there are some things that excite me outside of the trapping world. It kind of somewhat related to trapping. There's a lot of things around the Alaska wilderness stuff, the books, a lot of the stories that I may get into doing a little bit if I can carve out the time for it. Um, and I'm not really sure yet whether I'm going to do much with that, but it's one of those things that uh, I'm kind of inspired to do it, even if nobody listens and I just get it down and get it recorded. I may end up doing that. So haven't gotten fully into it yet, but I'm up in the air. Let's put it that way. But still alive, not dead. Still going to be trapping. Still going to have a lot of fun on the trap line. I just may or may not be right here on the YouTube screen or on the podcast regularly. Okay. 70 says do a quick live update every couple weeks just to push out how you're doing, what's working, what's not, something simple and short. Hey, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I've thought about, and maybe, yeah, maybe just shoot a few clips or something here and there. Maybe just something that's a real scaled down effort. That yeah, that's cool. That might be something I do. 70. Eric said, is it Bosage? I'm assuming that's French. What's your suggestion for a lure for weasels? So, I catch weasels by trying to catch martin, martin and fisher, and so weasels are pretty easy. Pretty much any lure will work for them. I have found there's a lot of crossover with mustelid lures, whether glands, whether that's martin glands, fisher glands, weasel glands, or mink glands. They all are attracted to each other's gland scent. And even though we know, in at least here in Maine, fisher are a major predator on martin. Martin will still go into a lure with fisher gland and where fisher has been caught. I can tell you because I've done it many times. So weasels, if you're just trapping weasels, weasel gland lure is really good. Or if you catch a weasel, just cut out the anal gland, just cut out the back end from the vent, around the vent, um, and use that. That's probably your one of your best weasel lures. Beaver caster is really good for all animals, basically all fur bearers. Beaver caster is good. So use a little caster, use a little bit of gland from a mustelid. If you can't buy, if you can't catch your own glands like from martin, fisher, or weasel, you can buy mink glands. They pretty much everybody sells mink glands, and they work very well too. But there are some weasel gland lures that are made. I've got a couple here on the shelf that I've used. Uh, yeah, long distance call works for them, but pretty much weasels aren't moving a whole heck of a lot. They're usually just there where I set my traps. There's enough weasels out there that you're usually within the home range of one or several weasels, and they're pretty easily caught. For bait for weasels, they tend to like anything that's bloody or fresh, more so than the old stuff. Although I do catch weasels with old, rotten, nasty meat, but fresh and bloody is better. Okay. Hi, Lone Ranger says hi from Manitoba, Canada. Hope the GFW Coyote Park, I assume you mean Parka, is successful. Haven't heard much about that lately. I guess they were developing something there to kind of be a replacement for the Canada Goose. Parka. So speaking of Grunwald fur and wool, if you guys haven't heard it yet, Guy Grunwald was on the Meat Eater podcast the other day, and it was really awesome. It was, for those of you who have watched Grunwald's channel, you've seen Guy, you've seen him on probably other trapping podcasts doing interviews, and you've seen him on YouTube. He is a legend in the fur market. He's the biggest fur buyer I think in the world. And based straight out of Illinois, sells fur throughout the world, sells a lot of fur in China. They move a lot of fur. They've done a lot to try to promote the market. They're kind of one of the last men standing in the fur industry. So check that podcast out on Meat Eater, and it doesn't talk much about fur prices. He doesn't mention the parkas or any of that stuff, but he does talk about Canada Goose and how that boosted the fur market for a long time. And he also talks about just the history of the fur boom and all that stuff, and how he got started and everything. So, all right, and we will talk fur prices. I think we're rattling through everything pretty quick here. 70 says maybe a phone interview from someone that listens to your lives. You want to get on and talk? Maybe we could do that. Trapping spots, totally understandable. Family's very important. Do what's best for you. Thank you, Trapping Spots. I appreciate that. Eric just placed an order. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. D Rich just placed an order. Right on, man. Good deal. We'll have some stuff to ship out Monday morning then. That's great. Mad Rush Outdoors would love to hear your fur market forecast for the 24-25 season. Well, Mad Rush, you're not going to have to wait very long. I don't have a sure you got my number, kid. I don't think I do, Mike, but I bet you if you call me right now, I will get. Or if you call me, don't call me now because I get my phone right here. But if you call me this week, I'll put your name down in the contact. Um, and then maybe we could do something later this winter. Are you? I'm assuming you're doing some trapping. You're probably going to be doing coyote trapping here later this month. Jean Claude Legault. Hey, nice to see you back. Seemed to be a while. Yeah, Jean Claude. If you weren't on earlier in this live stream, I talked about why I've been gone and whether I'm gonna be here in the future or not. And yeah, short story is it's up in the air. We'll kind of see. But I'm spending a lot of time doing other things and still trapping. Still going to be doing a lot of trapping this fall, but I may or may not do much of actual video stuff on YouTube or podcasting. But we'll just kind of see how things play out. Um, so yeah, trapping. I think I was gonna tie. I have listed here trapping season what I'm gonna be doing, but I don't know if I'll get into that too much. But I'm gonna be focused on Martin and Fisher. It's gonna be a good year for them. Every on the even years like 2020, 22, 24 are good Martin and Fisher years because there's not a lot of natural food out in the woods, and so they tend to come in more readily to lures and baits. And this is an even year, 24, and it's been a really good year for bear baiting. The people that have bear hunted have had really high success rates, and so that that is a good indicator that we're going to have a good trapping season as well. D Rich says, I hunt bear, have never seen so many fisher. Yeah, D Rich, I don't know where you're located, but in our area in northern Maine, our fisher numbers just seem to be going up and up and up, and they haven't stopped. They've been increasing for at least the last 10 years, probably a little bit more. It has to do with lower trapping pressure combined with maybe a change in the habitat for them. You're in the western mountains of Maine. Okay, so yeah, very similar to what we're seeing here. And I know people in central and southern Maine have seen a lot of increase in fisher numbers too. Unfortunately, I am seeing a decrease in martin numbers. Maybe I'll talk about that sometime. But I've been Mountain Man 146. What's up? Good streaming. Good to see you again. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Mountain Man. Appreciate it. I have been trapping in Maine since for almost a quarter of a century, so just under 20, a little under 25 years. I um, I have seen in that 20 plus years a dramatic change in the martin habitat in northern Maine because of the way the forest has been harvested, and the old growth forests have gone away, and most of the forest is much younger now. The large trees up here are in smaller and smaller patches, which are separated um, from other patches of mature old growth trees. And so the core martin habitat areas are dwindling. And so if you look back to when I started YouTube and videos on this channel, I think it was like 2016, maybe 2016, 2017. I just went back this summer. I've been back a couple of times to those areas where I trapped in 16 and 17. That was just 7 years ago, 6 7 years ago, 7 8 years ago. And those areas are wiped out. I mean, massive clear cuts, almost no mature forest left. They had been cut when I was there, and the places that had not yet been cut just been decimated. And so it's really changing a lot. The fishers seem to do fine with it. Some places I have seen not as many fishers when it gets really extreme, where there's just no habitat for them at all. But the fisher don't need as much mature forest as martin do, and so I'm still seeing a lot of fisher in that general area. But for my martin trapping, I've had to move further and further away from where I started. And So that means actually this season I'm going to be in a bit of a different area. I'm going to overlap into some places I've trapped the last 2 years, but I'm kind of continuing to move away from that timber harvest and into some places with different landowners that haven't harvested timber as much. So it has definitely been a change for me. It's something that I've come to learn to live with, unless I decide to pack up and move to Alaska, which I've talked about, but I probably won't do because I'm kind of, I don't know. We'll see. I've kind of locked in here with life, but you know, unless short of that, I'm pretty much came to the realization that in order to trap here, I'm going to have to accept the fact that the forest is constantly changing. You can't have a trap line that you start out with that you're going to be able to to have a constant for your career or even for like 3 4 years. That's how fast a lot of this is changing. And so I'm learning to bounce around and move and to find new spots and to give up on old spots and just accept the fact that you can't just go in and have all your areas decided and where you're going to trap and do because I've done this every year and this is the same spot year after year. That's just not going to happen. And so I'm learning, I'm adapting. That's kind of it's kind of when we were required to use these links exclusion devices is the same thing where you either have to give up or and stop trapping, which a lot of people did, or you got to adapt. You got to adapt. And so learning to adapt. Humans, fortunately, we humans are very adaptable. That's one of our good traits. So um, let's talk in just a second here about the fur market. So I haven't come up with an actual fur market forecast for the year. I usually do that about this time of year. Um, I haven't had the time to get around to doing it, but I am gonna do one. GK Hunter Trapper says the problems with moving means more gas money being spent. Yeah, yeah, true that. Um, although, yeah, I was going a long ways to begin with, so I'm kind of used to that. But I am limited because the way I'm trapping. I'm on a 5 day check, which means I'm usually checking between every 3 and 5 days. So uh, I'm checking twice a week, and I'm taking a day to check. So I can't because of my job. I get like 3 weeks of vacation a year. Not like it's what I get, and I use the majority of that to cut hay in the summertime for the our farming operation. And so I don't have a whole lot of time to take off in order to trap. Sometimes I can work like 4 10-hour days and then check in the middle of the week, take a day off to check. And then I'm checking either Saturday or Sunday. And so I'm like, I might be like a Sunday, a Thursday, a Sunday, a Wednesday, a Saturday, and on like that. And so I pretty much have to have all of my line has to be checked in one day. In order to do that, and still run a pretty productive line, I can't be more than 2 hours from home. And so I'm limited to kind of a 2 hour radius. I'd like to be like an hour and a half. Um, but realistically, I'm I'm typically an hour from the time I can check my first trap. And probably when I'm at the end of my line, I'm probably 2 hours from getting back home. And that's pretty well for me. That's pretty well maxing it out because, then you're running a decent number of traps. You're leaving super early, and you're getting back quite a ways after dark, probably checking the last traps in the dark. We have pretty short days that time of year. And so that's pretty much what you can do. And so I'm always hoping that there's enough habitat within that driving range. And so far, I think we'll be fine. I think there is enough habitat. There are fewer trappers out, although there's a lot of people from out of state that have been coming in and trapping. Um, there are people from downstate that are coming up and trapping marten. Uh, and love you guys, and I don't you own the land. You don't. None of us own the land. We all have equal right or privilege to be able to use it up here. So come on up. But yeah, I try to avoid people, but no matter what, I'm always going to be either in someone else's area or they're going to be in my area. And I've just kind of learned to try to accept that. And I try to get out of the way. One thing that I personally do, just my my uh, my strategy, and I know I get to talk fur prices. Sorry, I'll get to that in a minute. But my type of trapping that I like to do is I like to get in an area, and I like to kind of have really good coverage within one area. And I like to reach out to far reaches at the ends of roads where there's a bunch of woods, um, and try to hit some of those habitats. And so um, I tend to have a lot of traps in a relatively small area and kind of cover that area really well. And then I'll kind of move on to another area and do that in another area. Whereas most of the people um, that I know that trap, that run pretty long lines, they like to do loops so they don't have to backtrack, and it's probably more efficient. But their traps are tend to be spaced a lot further apart. They're covering a lot more ground because they're on the major roads. They're not backtracking. Their line tends to be longer, and they're just hitting specific spots. And we could talk all day about what is the most effective way of doing that, and whether one is better than the other. But what that ends up happening in that situation is that I may have some traps on a main road that overlap with other people's traps, but then I'll get off on a side road and they won't be trapping there. And so it kind of works out for my style, that I don't run into as many people. But then again, I've also, I've gone into places where people got traps set right where I'm at. And hey, it's the way it is. I don't like it. They don't like it, I'm sure. But Billy Thompson always said competition makes you a better trapper. So I try to embrace that mentality as much as I can, and just make the best of it. So, fur market, you probably haven't seen a fur market forecast from any other of the trapping podcast or YouTube channel. I know Grinwald doesn't have one out that I know of. And Fur Harvesters doesn't have one out yet. And so there's not really a lot out there in the trapping world as of this is early October, 5th of October. And I think there's a reason for that. I think it's because there's so much uncertainty in the market right now, and people are kind of waiting to see how things play out. And so, at my own peril, I am going to go out on a limb and make some predictions that might be totally wrong. But I'm just going to let you know what's going on in my head and what I think we may be in for this year. So, just from the basic supply and demand side of the fur market, I think that demand is going to continue to be low for most fur. And the reason for that is because Russia is still in a war and they have really big economic problems. I read somewhere that the only thing that's actually keeping Russia's economy going right now is the war and spending on the war. But not a lot of money for the average Russian citizen to be buying fur coats. And a lot of them are at war. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been killed in war in Russia and in Ukraine. And those are major fur consuming countries where the average people buy fur. One of the other major ones is China, and the Chinese economy, if you haven't been paying attention, is not doing very well right now either. And the Russian currency is really poor compared to the dollar. Um, the Chinese currency is not very good, and China is doing a bunch of stimulus. They're actually trying to boost their economy. Who knows whether that's actually going to work? Maybe it will. Maybe that'll bring a little flurry of buying. Um, the first person to know would probably be Grunwald when that happens, if and when that happens, because they've got shops in China and they monitor that situation pretty closely. But I think overall we're not going to see better demand than we did last year. The We did see an increase in fur prices last year for even items that were really hard to sell in the past, like raccoon and mink. And the reason for that is because we finally worked through all of the oversupply that had been in the the fur industry for years and years and years. All those ranch mink that were in cold storage, all the raccoon and wild mink that were in fur harvesters storage and just had been rolling over from auction to auction to auction that had never sold. Those are finally starting to clear out. There's not a big backlog anymore. And people have stopped trapping a lot of those items because the prices have been so low. So the new supply has been pretty low. And because of that, finally the prices started to get a little bit better. They're not spectacular, but you know, a good raccoon, $10 or $15. A good mink, $10, maybe a little more. Just Duck, what is up? Hey, yeah, long time no see. Just Duck, how you been? Good to see you. And so we'll probably, because of the low supply, we're probably not going to see a big crash from last year's prices, but I think they're going to still be low for those utility items. Otter, same thing. I think it's not going to crash. I think it's probably going to be pretty similar to last year. Um, Beaver, I think we're going to see beaver prices coming down. I know that's going out on a limb a little bit. Beaver prices have been high because of the felt market, the market for cowboy hats and similar type felt hats. That's been booming. That was a fashion trend. That was a fad. It's still around, but I think it is weakening a little bit. We did see some weakening in the prices at the fur harvesters auction in June, and I think it's not. I don't think it's going to crash, but I think that beaver price is going to come down. I think you're going to see that. Coyote, there's just no real demand for coyotes. Fox, limited, some demand. You probably see similar prices. I don't see anything that's going to change in those two items from the already depressed prices that they've been. No one, to my knowledge, has found a better way to use a coyote lately that people want to pay for. So what that leaves, that's pretty much all of the main items that most people in the country trap for. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say it's not great news. It's not bad news. I think because the actual production in the country is low enough. I think there's still a market. I think prices are going to continue to be pretty steady. I don't think we're going to see any real crash. And we've come up from those bottoms, and I don't think we're going to go back too far down this year from what we've already seen. However, I just don't see anything really increasing significantly at this point. There could be things that happen to change that, but the only country that seems to be booming right now is the United States. The United States doesn't buy a lot of fur, so yeah, we'll see where that goes. The items that will, I think, continue to do well is items that are in low in supply and are meet more of a high end market. And so that would be marten, fisher, bobcat, lynx, wolf, wolverine. A lot of the more northern fur, with the exception of bobcats. I think bobcats might maintain their decent. They've been doing pretty well in terms of price. Um, that I think those items that they're because they're not caught in really high numbers. I don't think we're going to see a big drop in price. I think they're going to maintain the strength that they've had over the last couple of years. The lynx not population numbers up north seem to be coming up. I haven't I don't think there's been a real high yet, but they seem to be increasing. Usually, when the lynx population booms, they cycle up and down every, I think, 7 to 10 years. They follow the snowshoe hare cycle, and when lynx populations are really high and the harvest comes up, a lot of times that can push the market down. But I don't think that harvest is going to increase enough this year to hurt the market. Muskrat, I think we didn't talk about muskrat. I don't think muskrats are going to do very well. I could be wrong, but I don't think we're going to see much fur rat prices. So that's those are my thoughts on the fur market. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of change going forward because supply is low. Demand is also low, but we've kind of reached a bit of a balance. The only big change I see is like I said, I think beaver prices are going to come down. But hey, it's early yet. Let's hope for the best. And I think you're going to be able to sell fur regardless. But some of those items you might not want to um, borrow a bunch of money from the bank to put gas in the truck and buy traps to go raccoon trapping. So. All right. Anything else, guys? And just punch it in the chat for folks that are listening on the live because I'm going to get out of here. Got to go take care of some cattle and continue working on other projects. So it's been good. Hey, Jim Gibb, Gibbs Adventures. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks. It's been a while for sure. I'm sure you're going to be doing quite a bit of trapping too this season. So looking forward to following along and on your channel. So yeah, guys, thank you again. 70, yeah, give me a call this week, and I guess we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.